All right, so here we are in the land of first times doing things.
Yep.
So usually when I do these podcasts, I usually have somebody that's here running the video, but I don't have somebody running the video tonight. So I'm actually doing both parts. So if I'm not making eye contact with you,
Don't worry about it.
I apologize.
Don't
all
worry
right.
about it. We're good.
But we have Jose Gomez in the room tonight, and Jose was a graduate of our Stratford campus from 2016.
Yep.
All right. So what made you think about coming to the school, the broadcasting school?
What caught my attention was that, when you enroll here, when you start, you get right into it. I know other people choose to go to college and universities, and I'm not saying that that's bad, but usually go through a longer route. You take other classes, but with this one, I just like the fact that you can jump right into it and learn exactly what I needed to learn.
Right. And did you do any college or anything like that prior to?
No.
So basically you went through your high school years and then you kind of came into how many years after high school?
It was years after that, because after high school, I actually went to school for to be a car mechanic,
right?
A auto technician. I did that for a few years, but in my late 20s, I always had a hobby of shooting stuff and editing on iMovie.
Right.
And, I was those type of people. I'm like, I need to make a career out of this. Mm-hmm. And, I'm in my late 20s already. I'm like, I'm not trying to go to college. And I just need, and then I came across CSB.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, you just go right into it, exactly what I needed to learn. And that's what made me do it.
All right. So you come to the school, you do a studio tour and all that other kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. What did you think of the classes as you started in the classes? Because did you come to the school knowing that you wanted to do video? Or, you said you did because you were at mechanic school, you were being a mechanic, but you were always shooting these videos. So obviously that's kind of what you wanted to do. But what did you think of even the on-air side of it?
Everything was solid. You know, I like I said earlier, I already knew what I wanted to do. What helped me out too was that I have a cousin who's a photog in New York City. Yeah. And I used to go with him. He was for NBC.
Right.
So I would always shadow him sometimes. I'd go with him. He'll teach me some stuff. And, sometimes I'll do side stuff, just simple stuff.
Right.
But, I just never learned the school part of it. So again, when I saw the on-air stuff that you guys do, and I was like, this is what I need to know. I need to learn terminology. I need to learn the rules.
Right, and then that way at least you know what you're kind of talking about with the terminology when you're in there and stuff like that.
Because when I was doing side work out there, I'm struggling to
know what the words were to
catch up, I'm trying to stay afloat, and so that's what CSB did.
Right. And then you graduate, and what happens after that? What's your first gig that you got out of graduating the school?
So after that, I went, I was living in Bridgeport at the time.
Yep.
So I'm originally from New York. So I went down to New York City, where somebody had told me to apply for the New York City Media, which is a company that works for the mayor's office.
Yep.
So I was the mayor's photog. I would follow him everywhere all over New York City just to do his press conferences and stream them live and on air on their channel. Mm-hmm. So I would just start off with simple stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
A freelancer, I would work 3-4 days out of the week.
Now, what were you using for the streaming? Do you remember? Was it Ustream or was it?
That was on their end.
Yeah.
I just had brought the live view with me. Called back Master Control. Be like, you guys got the signal, you guys got audio, we're good. And then they
did they do it on satellite or did they do it through IP web link?
Yeah, it was some sort of web link.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
all right.
Pizza's here.
Yeah, and then when they get the the pizza's here.
Yep.
Hi, how you doing? So we actually have a graduation tonight here at the Farmington campus. Come on in. I have your check. This is Town and Country Pizza. So if you're in Connecticut, in the Hartford area, New Britain, you got to come down to Town and Country Pizza. It's actually my favorite pizza in town.
Okay, I gotta try.
Did you guys have a pizza party when you graduated?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yep.
So this is my favorite part to the graduation night is the pizza.
I love pizza.
So even after this little podcast that we're going to do, we can do have a little pizza.
Oh, nice.
Did he go back out? He's coming back in now?
Back in, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Second trip.
All right. I have the check here. You're live on our podcast, so say hello, wave into the camera down there. You see him down there?
Town and Country, if you're hungry.
Yeah, Town and Country in New Britain, Connecticut.
Thank you very much.
Right next to what used to be the old Caldor. Do you remember the Caldor that was there?
Yeah. that was
Years
a long
ago.
time
Oh, yeah. Long
But the
time
pizza's
ago.
still there. Pizza's still good.
It is my favorite pizza, and that's why we always use you guys. Thank you very much. All right, have a good night. Thank you. So back on to things. So you're doing the streaming, you're doing that kind of work, and then how long were you doing that for?
I was there for about, I want to say 8 months.
Yeah.
The reason why I was there for so short, well, I wouldn't say short. I had a pretty good run, I would say. I was freelancing.
Right.
I was working there between 2 days out of the week to 4 days out of the week, sometimes 5 days out of the week. I was a quick learner, and they had me do a little bit of everything, but I didn't have enough days. So obviously, if you're like me, you need to work to pay bills and stuff.
Right.
So again, living in Bridgeport, if I can drive an hour down to New York City, I figured I could drive an hour up to Hartford.
Right. It's probably a better commute because you're not going down 95 into
Exactly.
Hartford or
Exactly.
into New York.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started shopping around, applying at stuff, sending resumes out. I'm looking to fill in a couple days. And then Hartford Public Access Television picked me up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, obviously right out of Hartford. They saw a lot of the stuff that I did in New York City, my background in CSB, and a little bit of the work that I did before CSB, you know, all the learning that I did in New York City with what I got with CSB, along with, you know, with what I was doing at the mayor's office.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
And they probably thought since you're at the mayor's office, you probably had good, you know, clearance and everything else like that.
Yeah, exactly. So everything that I was doing in New York City, they wanted me to do here in Hartford with obviously Luke Bronin and stuff like that. Like, you know, we work with the city also. We need you to go to City Hall and cover some council meetings and mayor press conferences. So everything, you know, it was like, you don't even have to tell me what to do. Just tell me the time. And I'll be there, you know.
And these are the cool things about the school is that, you know, we try and tell you at the studio tour that you're going to start off small and then you kind of build from there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's exactly what you did.
Exactly. You know, I always tell people, start with a public access. You meet so many people.
Right.
When I was in Hartford, I met so many people and they're like, oh, Jose, everybody knows him. And I started working with people.
The networking opportunities are phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what brought me up really in Hartford. Like, you know, I started in Hartford Public Access. I worked there for like 2-3 years. Yeah. And then I applied at Fox 61.
Right.
And I applied for 3 positions there, for an editor position, a photog position, and production.
And what's your editing software of choice? Do you like Premiere? Are you an Avid guy? Final Cut?
That's a tough question because I grew up. I used Premiere for like 5 years.
Right.
Then when I went to Fox 61, they put me on Final Cut 10, which I didn't like at all.
Right.
Because, you know, jumping from Adobe to Final Cut, and I just went in like, I never used it before.
That's funny that you say that because most of the industry kind of shied away from the Final Cut because when Final Cut 10 first came out, they took multicam out of it, you know, and that was a tough thing for our students. And then the industry kind of shied away from it. So we moved over to Adobe Premiere and we also have Avid.
Premiere's like so much easier. Well, to me,
right.
You know, so I had to like relearn Final Cut 10.
Right.
So now, like after 2 years of using it, I like it.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything else. You get used to it, and
I get used to.
You start getting all those quick key routines down and
so,
stuff like that.
I kind of got used to it now.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that because now that I'm working at NBC, well, I know I skipped a lot of stuff.
Right.
But now that I'm working at NBC, we're using another one called Edias.
Yeah.
For the meantime, and then they're gonna switch to Adobe Premiere. So like I'm going like all back and forth. But now that I'm not
it's all skills that you got on your resume now. You know.
But you know what though? It's all the same. It's all once you know how to edit on one platform, you're going to pick up the next one and the next one.
I will say Avid is a little bit different, you know, as far as, you know, the language of the program.
Yeah.
It seems to be a little bit different, but, you know, Final Cut, Premiere, you know, Vegas are all basically, you know, the same type of things.
Yeah. Now, but going back to what I was saying with Hartford Public Access, like that's a very, when people come to me for like advice, I always tell them start small. Like, you know, you can't just make it to the top.
Right.
You know, you don't want to go if you happen to get lucky and get, you know, a job straight off back in a to be a photog, you're gonna make mistakes. And
you don't want to make them when you get the first good job. You know,
you want to make your mistakes in public access because you know it's obviously a stepping stone.
Right.
You know, so that's where you want to learn everything. Yeah. You know, and that's where you lose your fear of like just being at events because some people have never done this before. and they get like some kind of a fear of just being out in public.
Right.
You know, you need to be aggressive. You need to get your shots in there. You need to get in front of people sometimes. You need to set up your audio. And, you know, some people are timid and they're like, no, I don't want to get in front of everybody. You know, you have to go over there and get in front of everybody to put your microphone there, to get your audio. You have to get there because you need to get your good shot. You know, you're not going to get a shot in back of a lot of heads. And then, you know, no, you need to go up in the front. So public access will take all that fear away from you. And then, you know, once you're a little bit more aggressive, that, you know, you'll be ready to go into a bigger station, you know.
Right.
And that's what, you know, that's important. Like I said, public access.
Right. When I started out at the Archdiocese of Hartford Office of Radio and Television. So I did all the video production work. It wasn't the most glamorous thing. We did the daily mass and other religious type programs, but that's what paved my way into the industry. And that's where I got to learn, make my mistakes, you know, trying to hook up cables to a camera and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, you know, those opportunities gave me the time to hang out after work and just work on different things. You know, they didn't care that I hung out because, hey, it was free labor for them. You know, I clocked out, but I just stayed there. You know,
you get your experience. You know?
Yeah, and you get your experience and you keep building it and working your way up. And you know, it's I think a very important part and ingredient to the whole thing. So from there, you go to Fox 61.
Yeah. So, like I said, I applied for 3 positions there, and when I got interviewed, I was like, it was funny because I didn't know which position I was getting interviewed for.
Right.
So I told the guy, I'm like, wait, what position am I interviewed for? He's like, is it a photog position? He was like, nah, this is for the production. He's like, oh, you're applying for the photog? He's like, oh, no, you know, he's like, I understand if you don't want to do this interview. I was like, no, definitely. I was just asking. But he gave me a tour of the studio, the way they work. And some of the stuff I already knew how to do, thanks to public access and working for the mayor's office. I know how to operate a camera. So I know about like framing and stuff, like your basics, your one-on-ones. How to use a prompter. What was another one? Oh, and when I was working in the mayor's office in New York City, I would have to control like robotic cameras when I'm doing the council meetings, and they have a robotic system in there. Yeah. So I had experience doing that, and they're like, we can use you. And they picked me up. They brought me in. Yeah. And it was part-time. Obviously it wasn't the best offer, but I took it. Yeah. You know, it got me through the door. Yeah. And it was a part-time job, so I was doing Fox 61 for 4 to 5 days out of the week, and then on the other days I would be still at Harvard Public Access TV, still doing my thing there. So so those 2 part-times equaled my full-time. Right. So, you know, I was still at their production for a year. So in that year I learned how to like use all the robotic cameras in studio. We have like 8 cameras in there. So I was using all of them, you know.
Did you do anything with a lottery or just Fox 61?
I did lotto. I did some lotto directing. Yeah.
A lot of our students are actually. There's another guy down there from the Stratford campus, and then Mikey V from this campus here.
Yes, I've heard.
Yeah, we have a lot of people down there at Fox 61.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, until like, oh, you're from CSB, right?
They're like, oh, you're CSB. I'm CSB.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you like to be CSB too?
Exactly. So you know, there's a few, like a handful of us over there that are from CSB, and I'm working in production. You know, same thing. You know, so right there, you know, again in production, I loved it. Yeah. You know, I learned how to operate the jib camera. Yeah. I learned how to use the robotic system over there, and you know, and how to floor direct. So that was that. But you know, going back, I was always a shooter. I was always an editor, and I always voiced, like they said, I want to be a photog eventually. Yeah. So they liked my supervisor, my production manager. He knew that I was a good worker. You know, on snow days, people would call in sick. It would be my day off. One time it snowed. It was my day off. Yeah. I live like 5 minutes away from the station. I'm like, do you need me to come in? Like, yes, please. So, you know, they pay attention to that. They do. They pay attention to that. You know, they'll be like, yeah, come in.
It's an important piece to the whole
Exactly. Don't wait for them to call you. You know, you call them. You know, they'll be like, Jose's reliable. So once they knew that I wanted to step up, you know, my manager was like, I got you. He spoke to the chief photog. Chief photog gave me an interview. Right. He said, we're looking for somebody. I had to wait a few months, but eventually.
See, that's great. You know, it's that work ethic and that passion that keeps driving you know, down the line, you know. Another very important ingredient.
So that was good. So my manager spoke to the photog, the chief photog, and put in a good word. Yeah. He's like, he's one of our best guys here, quick learner. He never gives us any problems. He gets along with everybody. I'm pretty, you know, I wouldn't send you anybody that's not good. So then I was a photog for 2 years.
Wow, so cool. Now, now you come to what prompted me to, ask you to come in. One of my favorite things to do is to go on Facebook and see how students kind of progress through and things like that. So on the Connecticut Facebook networking page, you had posted, "Hey, CSB students, I am, taking off from Fox 61. Thank you very much, Fox 61, for the opportunity. But I'm going to Channel 30. So tell me how that all happened."
Yeah, so NBC, obviously they're with Telemundo, and I know, us with NBC photogs, I would work the night side.
Yeah.
And so I would know all the night side photogs, and we're all on the same story, and we all get along. We all talk to each other. Hey, how's everything? And so sometimes we all joke around. Hey, you should come over to our side and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it's all a friendly competition.
Right.
So. Since they're with Telemundo, I'm Spanish and I'm bilingual, so we could use you over there. And when the opportunity presented itself, I'm like, let me reach out to them, And once I reached out to them, they're like, yeah, send us your resume, send us your reel. Obviously, we've heard good things about you through the photogs,
right?
And we see some of your work. I was like, okay, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah,
so how long have you been there now?
I've been there for 3 days. I started Monday, so it's a brand new slate.
Yeah. And they got a beautiful facility over there now. I mean, they just redid that, maybe 8 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
And when did the merger happen with Telemundo? I know that was not a recent thing, but it was
a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So obviously they're now Telemundo Nueva Inglaterra, which is Telemundo New England.
Right.
Which is based out of Boston. So we're like the Connecticut Telemundo station. So they're doing some Telemundo stuff over there. So obviously, I have a little advantage that I'm bilingual. Right. So if the same story, I can do it all over again in Spanish.
Yeah. We down in our Miami campus, which is now Pembroke Pines, we have a big, student population that goes into Telemundo down in that area. So, Telemundo has been very good to us. Channel 30 has been very good to us. I don't know if you've run into any CSB grads there yet, but you will.
Yeah. Someone told me they from CSB, right?
Yeah. We got them all over the place.
Yep, exactly.
So it's kind of cool. Well, I thank you very much for coming out, sharing your story with us. Love hearing all these stories, and that's why I've been kind of doing this series. And so thank you for being number one.
Thanks
my first person outside of the Farmington campus. You're a graduate of the Stratford campus.
Oh, okay.
And so that's very cool. And then number two, you're my first production person. Everybody else is on air. So, we don't get a chance to see and highlight the people, the guys that make the behind the scenes magic happen.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I am. I don't like this microphone thing. I don't like talking, on this, I like doing the shooting, the video editing and stuff like that. Same. I've always been on the creative side. So it's nice to have somebody else that is also on the creative side. So congratulations on your accomplishments, and good luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
We'll go have some pizza now.
All right.
All right, cool.